A giant screen blinked on inside the United Nations Emergency Meeting Hall, washing the room in strange purple light. Earth's most powerful leaders sat frozen in their seats. Ambassador James Miller gripped the podium, his worn hands trembling slightly. After spending decades staring at the night sky and dreaming of this moment, first contact was finally here. But nothing about this felt right. Asterisk, the creature on the screen resembled a living sculpture made from glowing blue crystal. When it spoke, the translator made its words sound like wind chimes dancing in a breeze. Asterisk, I am High Speaker Stone of the Galactic Council. Your species has been under our watch for 300 years. The time has arrived for Earth to join the civilized universe. Asterisk Miller kept his expression blank, just as his training had taught him. Inside, his brain was racing through every emergency plan he'd memorized over the years. Asterisk, we appreciate you reaching out to us. High Speaker, he responded, keeping his voice calm and level. Asterisk, what the alien said next destroyed the magic of the moment in an instant. As is required from all new species, we demand payment. 30% of your planet's materials and workers will be enough as your entrance fee into our great civilization. Asterisk, quiet whispers spread through the hall. Miller saw the Russian leader's hands clenching her chair so hard, her knuckles went white. The Chinese leader's expression had turned to stone. Yet nobody said a word. They all understood their parts in this performance. Asterisk, such a demand needs serious thought. Miller responded, maintaining his diplomatic voice. Our planet's systems are complicated and connected. We would need time to understand what this means. Asterisk, the crystal being shimmered as it shifted. You have 48 Earth hours to start the payment process. We have built collection stations in the outer reaches of your solar system. Its voice became threatening. Do not challenge our patience. Lesser species who said no found their planet's surfaces greatly altered by our reaction. Asterisk, the screen went black. For 10 endless seconds, no one moved. Then Miller pushed a tiny red button on the podium. Security forces silently entered the room and gathered all phones and devices. Only when the room was secure did anyone dare speak. Asterisk, the American president rose to her feet first. Time to hold the real meeting. She glanced at the others. See you all below. Asterisk, far beneath the UN building. In a room protected by technology that supposedly didn't exist, Earth's leaders sat around a completely different table. This room looked nothing like the fancy hall upstairs. Its walls were plain metal, and glowing displays showed live information from secret bases around the world. Asterisk, Miller pulled off his formal jacket and collapsed into a chair. Well, they're just as full of themselves as we thought they'd be. Did anyone spot the weak points our spy ships found? Asterisk, yes, the Indian Prime Minister replied. Their communication device used quantum harmonics, exactly like our research predicted. Their ships will be easy targets for our defensive weapons. Asterisk, the Russian president gave a small smile. 300 years they've been watching us. All that time believing we had no idea they were there. Thinking we were just bumbling along by luck. Asterisk, their greatest error was judging us by their own standards. The Chinese leader added, they observe a species barely reaching space, arguing about the climate and waging small conflicts. They failed to grasp that's precisely what we intended them to observe. Asterisk. Screens throughout the room lit up with updates from secret facilities, quantum fleet standing by, dimensional shields charged, defense networks active, underground shelters prepared, every element put in position over many generations. Concealed beneath a carefully built image of a divided, struggling world. Asterisk, the American president stood at the table's head. Our forefathers started getting ready for this moment the instant they found the Council's first spy probe. For 300 years we've concealed our real advancement, showing them only what they expected. Now they've finally acted. She looked at each face around the table. The question is, do we move forward with Operation Oracle? Miller considered the alien's warning, its easy assumption that it held all the power. He thought about the centuries of getting ready, of humanity's secret strength. He grinned. Asterisk, I believe it's time to show the galaxy. What happens when you attempt to push humanity around? Asterisk. Earth's leaders nodded as one. Above them, the world continued its normal business, seemingly unaware of the danger. Exactly as planned, Asterisk Admiral Thomas marched through the secret base, buried deep inside Mount Everest. His footsteps rang off walls built from metal that officially didn't exist. Screens along the hallway displayed live information from Earth's hidden defense systems. Everything was proceeding according to schedule, even though that schedule was 3 centuries old. Asterisk. He walked into the command room, where dozens of workers sat at stations watching humanity's real military power. The room's main hologram displayed thousands of ships concealed in quantum space, invisible to the Council's basic scanners. "Give me a status update," he commanded. His second in command, Captain Reed, walked forward holding a tablet. "All secret fleets are ready, sir. The Council's vessels haven't picked up any of our quantum signals. They still believe we're stuck with chemical rockets and a few simple ion engines." Asterisk. Thomas nodded, approaching the primary display. With a motion of his hand, he called up images of Earth's real defensive systems. "Show me the polar bases." Asterisk. The hologram changed to reveal enormous underground structures beneath both ice caps. Quantum cannons, dimensional shields, and AI-powered defense systems sat ready but invisible to the aliens overhead. The Council's scans couldn't pierce the special materials created over centuries. Specifically for this purpose, asterisk, they have absolutely no clue what they're walking into, Reed said with a slight grin. Asterisk, that was the whole idea, Thomas replied. He brought up another display showing the Council's ships. Look at how they're designed. All flash and intimidation. They constructed their vessels to look scary and frighten less advanced races. We built ours to actually win battles. Asterisk, a young officer rushed into the room. Admiral, we're getting updates from our deep space scouts. The Council is bringing more ships into our system. Asterisk. Thomas reviewed the information and smiled. The Council ships were positioning themselves exactly where Earth's defense strategies had predicted they would. 3 centuries of studying the Council's behavior patterns had made them easy to read. Asterisk, send word to the underground cities. He commanded. Start final preparation phase. But keep it silent. Let's not ruin the surprise. Deep below every major city on Earth, huge spaces had been carved out and prepared over many generations, enough space for every human to live underground if necessary. Though Thomas seriously doubted it would come to that, the Council wasn't nearly as strong as they pretended. Asterisk. Captain Reed checked another update. Sir, our computer systems have completed their study of the alien communication device. We can shut it down whenever we want. They'll lose all ability to talk. Good. Thomas walked to the window overlooking the massive underground hangar where Earth's real ships waited. They were sleek, dangerous, and powered by technology the Council couldn't begin to imagine. What about the civilian vessels? Asterisk, all civilian ships have their concealed weapons ready. The Council thinks they're looking at basic trading ships and atmosphere shuttles. They don't know each one carries enough firepower to blow apart one of their cruisers. Asterisk. Thomas remembered his grandfather's advice from years back. The best weapon is the one your opponent doesn't know you have. Earth had taken that wisdom seriously, concealing its true power beneath a deliberately crafted image of primitive technology and political chaos. Asterisk, sir, Reed said quietly. The Council gave us 48 hours. Should we show ourselves earlier? Asterisk. No, Thomas shook his head. We follow the plan. Let them believe we're panicking to respond, maybe even battling among ourselves about what to do. The more overconfident they get, the better this works. Asterisk. He studied the display showing the Council ships once more, remembering all the generations of humans who had labored in secret to prepare for this day. The Council believed they were facing a primitive species that had barely reached space. They were about to discover how mistaken they were. Asterisk. Humanity has been waiting 300 years to answer their arrogance. Thomas said, we can wait one more day. After all, the best part of any surprise is perfect timing. Fleet Commander Wilson stood on the observation deck of the Star Trader, watching her hundreds of civilian ships drift through Earth's orbit. To any outside watcher, it looked like pure chaos. Merchants and traders frantically trying to move their vessels to safety before the Council's deadline. In truth, it was a carefully planned performance. Status of the merchant fleet upgrades, she asked the empty air. The ship's computer answered immediately. 70% finished, Commander. All weapons are properly hidden. Council scans will only pick up normal cargo bays and life support systems. Wilson grinned. The Council's pride had made this almost ridiculously easy. They never looked closely at civilian craft. Why bother? In their experience, primitive species like humans couldn't possibly conceal advanced weapons in everyday ships. Her communication screen flickered to life with a call from Earth. Commander, the ground controller said, "We have another batch of refugees ready for transport tomorrow." Wilson nodded. The refugees were actually elite fighting teams being moved throughout the solar system. The Council would see exactly what they anticipated. Frightened humans running from their mighty presence. Send them up, she commanded. Make it look chaotic. A few ships should drift off their flight paths. Show some fear, yes, Commander. Also, the public news stations are broadcasting the protests as scheduled. Wilson switched screens to Earth's news feeds. Right on time. Crowds were forming in major cities, carrying signs and shouting for their governments to either resist or surrender to the Council. All carefully arranged, naturally. The protesters were mostly military families, putting on a show for any spying aliens. The observation deck door slid open, and her chief engineer entered. "Ma'am, you need to look at this." He handed her a tablet. The Council just deployed their tribute collection ships near Jupiter. They're transmitting their capabilities as a threat. Wilson examined the information and had to fight back a laugh. The Council ships looked impressive, all shining metal and obvious weapon arrays, and completely defenseless against the quantum disruption technology that Earth's vessels had been using for decades. How are the civilian captains managing the hidden systems? She asked. Better than we hoped. 300 years of preparation means even our merchant fleet trains for this situation. Every captain knows precisely what to do when they get the signal. A light blinked on Wilson's console. Another wave of Council ships entering the solar system. They were arranging themselves in a typical intimidation pattern, one they'd used on numerous other worlds. Wilson had analyzed recordings of those encounters for years at the training academy. They're so predictable, she whispered. Always the identical tactics. Always the identical assumptions. Her computer chimed again. Commander, the underground shelter in Sydney reports complete readiness. New York and Tokyo will finish preparations in 3 hours. Below them, Earth maintained its performance. News channels displayed panicking financial markets and emergency government sessions. Social media exploded with worried conversations about the alien demands. Military forces made very public preparations for a doomed defense. And deep underground, in concealed bunkers and secret facilities, humanity's real power waited. Quantum weapons that could slice through Council shields like tissue paper. Computer systems that could hack and disable alien technology in moments. Dimensional engines that made the Council's fastest ships look like ancient horse carts. Wilson's tablet buzzed with a message from Admiral Thomas. Maintain the performance. 24 hours until we deliver our response. She gazed out at her fleet once more. From the outside, they appeared to be simple trading vessels running scared. Inside, they were the most deadly warships ever constructed by human hands. The Council was about to receive a very costly lesson about judging things by their appearance. Send word to all ships. Wilson commanded. Maintain normal behavior. Look frightened. Act helpless. She smiled. And prepare for the most lopsided fight in human history. High Speaker Stone stood in the massive Council chamber, his crystalline body catching light from 3 different suns shining through the enormous windows. Around him, Representatives from 1,000 different worlds observed the holographic display of Earth. Asterisk, as you can observe, Stone said, pointing at images of panicking humans. They respond just like all primitive species: terror, chaos, and the start of surrender. Asterisk, the council members nodded in agreement, all except one. Elder Grey sat in his ancient chair, his grey-toned face displaying worry. He was the oldest creature in the chamber, representing a race that had become council members 5,000 years ago. Asterisk, I observe something else, Elder Grey said softly. Asterisk, his words made the chamber go completely quiet. When the elder spoke, even High Speaker Stone had no choice but to listen. Asterisk, what troubles you, Elder? Stone asked, attempting to hide his irritation. Asterisk, they've barely moved past their first space stations. Their most advanced vessels use basic ion engines. We detect no quantum technology, no dimensional capabilities, no computer networks. Asterisk, Elder Grey stood slowly, his ancient eyes locked on the Earth display. That's what troubles me. Examine their history. Every time they encountered a problem, they made enormous leaps forward. But for the past 100 years, their advancement has been too smooth, too predictable. Asterisk, a younger council member laughed. They waste time battling among themselves. Half their planet protests against their own governments even now. Asterisk, perhaps, Elder Grey moved closer to the display. Or perhaps, that's what they wish us to believe. My race, he paused, looking disturbed. My race once dispatched a scout fleet to Earth. This was 3 centuries back, before they achieved space travel. The fleet disappeared completely. Asterisk, murmurs spread through the chamber. Stone's crystalline form flickered with annoyance. Why wasn't this reported to the council? Asterisk, pride, Elder Grey admitted plainly. We felt embarrassed. We convinced ourselves our ships must have malfunctioned naturally. But now, he pointed to the display showing Earth's icecap regions. Examine these energy patterns. They pulse in a rhythm that appears random. Asterisk, solar interference, Stone dismissed. Their primitive senses can't even pick it up. Asterisk, no. Elder Grey shook his head. The pattern is too exact, and it shifted the instant we arrived in their system. He turned to address the council. I believe we are observing a disguise, fellow members. A very skillfully created disguise. Asterisk, Stone was preparing to respond when a junior observer rushed into the chamber. High Speaker, we've picked up strange readings from the human civilian vessels. Asterisk, what readings? Stone demanded. Asterisk, for a split second, our sensors detected something unusual, but it vanished so rapidly our systems labeled it as an error. Asterisk, Elder Grey's eyes narrowed. Display it. Asterisk, the screen changed to show a basic human trading vessel. For a tiny fraction of a second, there was a flicker of power that shouldn't exist on such a primitive craft. Asterisk, just an error, Stone insisted, but his crystalline body had lost some of its glow. High Speaker, Elder Grey said gently. Did you know that humans have an idea called playing possum? It comes from a small creature that fakes being dead when in danger. But the second its hunter relaxes its guard, he let the words linger in the air. Asterisk, the chamber had become very still. The display continued showing Earth, continued showing panicking humans and primitive technology. But now, some council members were examining those images with fresh eyes. Asterisk, you're suggesting, Stone said stiffly, that a primitive species has deceived the entire council. Impossible. Asterisk, I'm suggesting, Elder Grey responded, that we have made a dangerous assumption. We assumed that because they looked primitive, they must be primitive. We assumed that because they displayed fear, they must be afraid. He looked around the chamber, and I question what cost we will pay for those assumptions. Asterisk, High Speaker Stone stared at the display of Earth. His confidence shaken for the first time in centuries. They had given the humans 48 hours to surrender. Their answer would arrive in 24 hours. Then they would discover if Elder Grey's worries were justified. Asterisk, the enormous council chamber hummed with anticipation. Representatives from over 1,000 worlds occupied every seat. their diverse forms creating a living spectrum of colors and shapes. The moment of Earth's reply had arrived. HFY Speaker Stone stood at the central stage, his crystalline body radiating certainty. "Display the human transmission," he ordered. The gigantic holographic screen activated, showing Ambassador Miller standing at a plain podium. The human looked appropriately anxious, or so Stone thought. Honored Council. Miller started, his voice steady despite his supposed fear. "Humanity has thought carefully about your demand for payment." He paused, lifting a small data chip. "Our reply has been thoughtfully prepared." Stone's crystalline form glittered with satisfaction. "Another primitive race, accepting their place. Continue with your acceptance, human." Miller looked straight into the camera. A small smile crossed his face. "Our reply is one word." He raised the chip. No. For a heartbeat, the chamber was absolutely silent. Then pandemonium broke loose. What did he say? "Impossible. How dare they? They cannot refuse." Stone's form flickered with fury. "You dare to reject the council? You comprehend the consequences." Miller's smile widened slightly. "Oh, we comprehend perfectly." He glanced at his watch. "In fact, you should be receiving some interesting updates right about now." Multiple emergency warnings suddenly flashed throughout the chamber. Council members started yelling in terror as reports flooded in. High Speaker. Unknown vessels appearing throughout Council territory. Our quantum networks are being jammed. Defense stations going offline. We're picking up energy readings that shouldn't be possible. In orbit around every major Council planet, enormous ships emerged from quantum space. They weren't the primitive vessels the Council had observed before. These were sleek, lethal warships that radiated power far beyond anything the Council possessed. Elder Grey stood slowly, studying Miller with fresh respect. "You were never primitive, were you?" No, Miller answered simply. "We found your first spy probe 300 years ago. We've been getting ready ever since." He gestured, and the chamber's displays revealed Earth's ships shedding their disguises. Cargo vessels transformed into battleships. Simple shuttles exposed weapon systems that made Council technology look ancient. Impossible. Stone shouted. "We observed too. We witnessed your development." You witnessed what we wanted you to witness, Miller explained calmly. "Every advancement carefully scheduled. Every technology shown at precisely the right moment to appear natural. Every conflict and protest arranged to make us look divided and helpless." Admiral Thomas appeared next to Miller in the transmission. "Your vessels are currently encircled by our fleet. Your quantum communications are under our control. Your defense systems have been disabled. We could finish this violently." He paused. "But we'd prefer not to." The Council chamber had gone absolutely silent. Stone's crystalline form had lost all its brightness, now appearing dull and dead. "What do you want?" he finally asked. Miller's face turned serious. "We want what we've always wanted. Peaceful partnership between equals. Not surrender. Not payment. Friendship freely offered, or none at all." Elder Grey started to laugh. A sound that hadn't echoed in the chamber for centuries. "Magnificent. All this time we believed we were evaluating you, but you were evaluating us." Yes, Miller nodded. "And now you have a decision. We can be allies or opponents, partners or enemies, but we will never, ever be your servants." Stone looked around the chamber at the faces of Council members, who now turned to him for answers rather than orders. He studied the displays showing Earth's true power, skillfully concealed for 3 centuries, and for the first time in his long existence, High Speaker Stone did something he had never done before. He bowed. Perhaps, he said quietly. "It is time for the Council to evolve." The Council's emergency meeting dragged into its 6th hour. On massive screens throughout the chamber, proof of humanity's real capabilities kept pouring in. Each discovery hit like a blow to the Council's pride. Elder Grey stood at the room's center. Speaking to the shocked representatives, 3 centuries ago, my people dispatched a fleet to Earth. We believed we were being clever, approaching from what humans call the Kuiper Belt. He paused, his ancient face showing both pain and admiration. Our ships simply vanished. No emergency signals. No wreckage. They were just gone. Asterisk, High Speaker Stone, his crystalline body still dimmed by shock, spoke quietly. Why didn't you inform the council? Asterisk pride, Gray confessed. And terror. We told ourselves it must have been a natural catastrophe. The other possibility was too horrifying to accept. Asterisk, he pointed at the displays. Now we understand the reality. Humanity possessed quantum technology before they officially invented nuclear power. Asterisk, the screen displayed fresh images. Massive underground cities that could shelter Earth's entire population. Orbital stations that had looked primitive but contained civilization-ending weapons. Civilian ships transforming into warships that made council vessels appear like toys. Asterisk, Admiral Thomas appeared on the main screen. Standing in a control room humming with power, the council had believed impossible for humans to control. Let me be perfectly clear, he said. Everything you observed for 300 years was deliberately planned. Every technological breakthrough, every political struggle, every scientific achievement, all carefully scheduled to show you exactly what you anticipated seeing. Asterisk, a council member from a silicon-based species spoke up. But why? If you possessed this power, why conceal it? Asterisk, because we wanted to prevent war, Thomas explained. We observed how the council handled primitive races, demanding payment, forcing surrender. We could have battled you then, but that would have resulted in millions of deaths on all sides. Asterisk, the displays shifted once more, revealing Earth's true defensive abilities, quantum shields that could absorb any known weapon, computer systems that could anticipate and defeat any attack plan, dimensional technology that made faster-than-light travel appear slow. Asterisk, impossible, shouted a council member. These developments require thousands of years. Asterisk, Elder Gray chuckled softly. Unless you're human. Did none of you examine their history? In less than 70 years they progressed from basic flight to walking on their moon. In 200 years they advanced from steam engines to quantum computers. Asterisk. The chamber fell quiet as Fleet Commander Wilson appeared beside Thomas in the transmission. We're not displaying this to intimidate you, she said. We're showing you because it's time for honesty between equals. Asterisk, Stone moved closer to the display. Your people sustained this deception for 3 centuries. Every human on Earth understood their role. Children grew up knowing they had to conceal their world's true power. How is such a thing possible? Asterisk, Thomas smiled. We used your greatest weapon against you. Your own pride. You observed what you expected to observe. A primitive species, slowly advancing, battling among themselves. You never examined deeper, because you never thought you needed to. Asterisk, and now? Stone asked. Asterisk, now we can stop pretending, Wilson answered. Now we can be what we always desired to be. Partners in improving the galaxy. No payments. No surrender. Just different species collaborating together as equals. Elder Gray turned to address the council. I recommend we accept this offer very seriously. Humanity could have eliminated us at any point in the past 3 centuries. Instead, they selected patience. They selected peace. He smiled. Perhaps it's time we learned from them. Asterisk, the council chamber buzzed with quiet conversations as the members weighed this new reality. On the screens, Earth's true nature was finally shown. Not a primitive world struggling to reach the stars, but a technological powerhouse that had hidden in plain sight for 3 centuries, and accomplished it all to prevent a war they would have won. Asterisk, 1 month after humanity's revelation, the council chamber appeared very different. The raised stage where High Speaker Stone had once looked down on others was removed. In its place stood a round table with Earth's representatives sitting as equals among the council members. Asterisk. Ambassador Miller observed Stone sign the new Galactic Partnership Treaty with firm hands. The crystalline being's body had recovered some of its glow, but it was a gentler light now, without the harsh brightness of arrogance. Asterisk, with this signature, Stone announced, we officially close the era of payment and open an age of real partnership between species. Asterisk, Admiral Thomas, standing near the chamber's great windows, smiled as he watched Council ships and Earth vessels performing joint training exercises in space. The Council ships still appeared impressive, but now they were being enhanced with human technology. Freely shared. Asterisk, quite a transformation from a month ago, Elder Grey said, moving to stand beside Thomas. Though I must ask, what would you have done if we had rejected your offer of peace? Asterisk, Thomas's smile dimmed slightly. We had alternative plans. The quantum fleet you observed was only our first defensive line. There were backup strategies we're grateful we didn't need to employ. Asterisk, in orbit above the Council world. Fleet Commander Wilson stood on her ship's observation deck, watching alien youngsters touring Earth vessels. The children gasped in wonder as human crews demonstrated technology their elders had never dreamed possible. Asterisk, it's preferable this way, Wilson said to her crew, sharing knowledge instead of hiding it, teaching instead of pretending. Asterisk, the main screen displayed scenes from across the galaxy, Council worlds and Earth collaborating together, exchanging discoveries and learning from each other. Even Stones, people had found that their crystalline bodies could connect with human quantum systems in ways neither species had anticipated. Asterisk, back in the chamber, Miller spoke to the gathered representatives. For centuries, we observed you demand payment from other races. We witnessed you take their materials, their workers, their freedom. We could have halted you by force. He paused, studying the room. Instead, we chose to teach you a better way. Asterisk, Stone nodded slowly. By pretending to be helpless, you taught us the strongest lesson of all. That real power exists not in control, but in patience and wisdom. Asterisk, Elder Grey laughed softly. And in possessing quantum weapons concealed in your cargo vessels. Asterisk, yes. The chamber filled with laughter, a sound that would have been unthinkable in the previous days. Even Stone's crystalline form chimed with amusement. Asterisk, the galaxy is transforming, Miller continued. Already 17 worlds that abandoned the Council over its payment demands have requested to return. They observe what we're constructing together. A true alliance of equals. Asterisk, Thomas moved to the great window, observing ships from 100 worlds drifting peacefully through space. 300 years of concealing, of guarding our words, of performing a role. It was worth it. Asterisk, and now? Stone asked. What do humans intend to do with their remarkable abilities? Asterisk, Miller smiled. Exactly what we've always wanted to do. Explore the galaxy, discover its secrets, and make new companions. Just as equals this time, not as servants or rulers. Asterisk, the chamber's displays showed Earth, no longer hiding its true face. The enormous underground cities were now centers of education, where species from across the galaxy came to learn. The quantum fleet patrolled space, not to intimidate, but to safeguard. And in laboratories and research facilities across the planet, humans worked alongside alien scientists, expanding the boundaries of what was possible. Asterisk, one word, transformed the galaxy. Elder Grey reflected no such a basic thing. Asterisk, sometimes, Miller replied. The simplest responses are the most powerful. Asterisk, as the sun set on another day in the new galaxy, ships from Earth and the Council traveled together through the stars. Their crews no longer considered payment or surrender or power. They considered only what they could accomplish together, as equals. In the vast reach of space. But that would have cost millions of lives on all sides. The screens shifted once more, displaying Earth's real defensive strength. Quantum barriers that could stop any weapon ever made. Computer networks that could predict and block any battle plan. Space-bending technology that made lightspeed travel seem like crawling. Asterisk, impossible. A council member yelled. These kinds of breakthroughs need thousands of years. Asterisk, Elder Grey chuckled quietly. Unless you're dealing with humans. Did any of you bother studying their past? In under 70 years, they jumped from basic flight to setting foot on their moon. In 200 years, they leaped from steam power to quantum computing. The chamber went completely silent as Fleet Commander Wilson materialized next to Thomas in the broadcast. "We're not revealing this to scare you," she explained. "We're revealing it because the time has come for truth between partners." Stone drifted nearer to the screen. "Your kind kept up this act for 300 years. Every single human on Earth played their part. Kids grew up learning they had to mask their planet's real capabilities. How could this even work?" Thomas grinned. "We flipped your most powerful weapon back on you, your own pride. You witnessed what you wanted to witness. A backward species gradually improving, squabbling among themselves. You never dug deeper because you never thought you had to." And what happens now?" Stone questioned. "Now we stop the charade," Wilson replied. "Now we become what we've dreamed of being all along. Partners in building a better galaxy. No forced payments. No bowing down. Just different civilizations cooperating as equals." Elder Grey faced the council. "I strongly advise we treat this proposal with utmost seriousness. Humanity could have wiped us out at any moment over the last 3 centuries. Yet they picked patience. They picked peace." He smiled. "Maybe it's our turn to take lessons from them." The council chamber hummed with hushed conversations as the representatives pondered this fresh reality. On the monitors, Earth's real identity was at last exposed. Not a backward planet, barely touching the cosmos, but a technological powerhouse that had lurked in plain view for 300 years, and pulled it off entirely to sidestep a conflict they would have dominated. 1 month following humanity's big reveal, the council chamber had a totally different feel. The elevated platform where High Speaker Stone used to tower over everyone else had vanished. Replacing it was a round table where Earth's delegates sat shoulder to shoulder with council representatives. Ambassador Miller observed Stone putting his signature on the fresh Galactic Partnership Agreement with unwavering hands. The crystal being's body had gotten back some of its shine, though it was a mellower glow now, lacking the intense glare of superiority. With this signature, Stone declared, "We formally close the chapter of forced payments and open a chapter of genuine partnership among civilizations." Admiral Thomas, positioned by the chamber's massive windows, grinned as he observed council vessels and Earthcraft running combined drills in orbit. The council ships still cut impressive figures, but now they were getting boosted with human tech. Willingly provided. Quite the shift from 30 days back, Elder Grey commented, stepping up next to Thomas. "Though I have to wonder, what would you have done if we'd turned down your peace proposal?" Thomas's grin faded a touch. "We had backup strategies. That quantum armada you witnessed was merely our opening defensive layer. There were emergency measures we're relieved we never had to activate. In orbit over the council homeworld, Fleet Commander Wilson stood at her ship's viewing platform, observing alien kids exploring Earth vessels. The young ones exclaimed in amazement as human teams showed off technology their families had never conceived possible. "This is the better path," Wilson told her team, exchanging information rather than burying it, instructing rather than faking. The central monitor displayed images from throughout the galaxy, council planets and Earth joining forces, trading findings and absorbing knowledge from one another. Even Stone's civilization had uncovered that their crystal bodies could link with human quantum networks in manners neither group had foreseen. Back in the assembly hall, Miller spoke to the gathered delegates. "For generations, we observed you extracting payments from other civilizations. We witnessed you seizing their materials, their laborers, their independence. We could have blocked you through violence." He stopped, scanning the chamber. "Instead, we decided to demonstrate a superior approach." Stone gave a slow nod. "By acting helpless, you delivered the most profound teaching possible. That genuine strength doesn't come from domination, but from restraint and intelligence." Elder Grey chuckled gently. "Plus, possessing quantum armaments tucked away in your freight haulers." Exactly. The chamber erupted with laughter, a noise that would have seemed absurd in earlier times. Even stone's crystal structure rang with humor. The galaxy is shifting, Miller went on. Already 17 planets that broke away from the Council because of its payment policies have requested to rejoin. They notice what we're creating together. A real union of partners. Thomas walked to the enormous window, gazing at vessels from countless worlds gliding harmoniously through the void. 300 years of concealing, of guarding our speech, of acting out roles, every moment was justified. And moving forward, Stone inquired, what do humans intend to accomplish with their extraordinary abilities? Miller beamed. Precisely what we've forever desired to accomplish. Survey the galaxy, uncover its wonders, and forge new friendships. As partners, this round, not as subjects or tyrants, the chamber's screens presented Earth, its true nature no longer masked. The enormous subterranean metropolises had become knowledge hubs, where beings from throughout the galaxy arrived to study. The quantum armada now guarded space, not to menace but to shield. And in research facilities and testing grounds across the world, humans collaborated alongside extraterrestrial scholars, stretching the limits of the achievable. A single word reshaped the galaxy. Elder Gray pondered. Refusal. Such an elementary concept. At times, Miller responded. The most elementary replies carry the greatest weight. As evening descended on another rotation in the transformed galaxy, craft from Earth and the Council journeyed together across the heavens. Their teams no longer dwelt on payments or surrender or dominance. They focused solely on what they might accomplish, united, as partners, in the infinite ocean of stars.